absolute pea super out there, didn't it? Getting cold nights that time of year. Anyway, sorry it's a late review. I've had a couple of things on. Obviously been at work. And then this morning, the cricket. Great result for England. A bit squeaky bum day for a while. But Stokes come in. Absolutely fantastic. And then this evening, strictly results. Tony's bowed out, and rightly so. I don't think anybody needs to see that, do they? Anyway, Accrington Stanley review. Although you've all probably stopped thinking about it by now. Now, Wednesday travelled to Accrington on back of a really good performance against Southampton. Now, we can talk about them being bottom at Premier League or whatever it is, but there is a huge gulf between the Premier League and Third Division, which is where we are. Wednesday gave a really good account of themselves in that game, and it's took penalties to decide it. I offer coming in for the bit of stick, and I've seen, well, typical season he's having. He's a centre half. He's not really there for what he's going to do with ball, is he? He's here to defend, and he's been doing that better recently. After a ropey start to the season, he started to look more sure of himself. Stepped up. Is it a great pen? No. Were we actually that bothered about going any further in competition? Well, I like to have a cup run, but realistically, getting out of this division is the main aim, so nobody should be that upset about it. The thing is, he's had the balls to get up there and take a penalty, so there's a lot to be said for that too. Anyway, the open play, I watched that game. No review because I've been very busy this week, but Wednesday played really, really well, and I would say we were a better team for large spells of that game. You know, players like Walcott coming off at bench for them. Ward-Prowse, who's some people are saying we should be took away with England team. So I think that just sort of shows the sort of performance levels we put in, and I think it shows where this squad is at this moment in time as well. But anyway, off to face an Accrington side. Nowhere near as good as Southampton or with that sort of budget, but still a tough test. John Colemans side, big physical side that he'd put together there. Last season we found it very tough there. We got a result, but we found it a very tough game. And would it be the same again? Well, it weren't a classic, let's put it that way. Now, Wednesday played a back four the other week, which I like, as you all know. Personally, that's the system I like to see set up with a proper back four. Whatever you do in front of that's almost immaterial to me. So the team sheet come out, and it could have been a back four, and it wasn't, but it could have been. And Darren Moore's actually talked about this after the game. It's keeping the opposition guessing because we've got a lot of players who can play in different roles and different positions. Reece James being a classic example. But it was a 3-5-2. I have seen a lot of people online saying, why did they keep saying it was 3-5-2 when it was a back four, same as last week? And I can see why there's that misunderstanding. Because it was very fluid. It was a back three. Myton was a left wing back. Iofa was a right wing back. But obviously Myton is more attacking minded than Iofa. So we saw a lot of fluidity and a lot of shape shifting in there. But I'll just have a quick look through the team with you and you'll see what I mean. So Wednesday was Stockdale in the net. Back three, Hekwe back in the side, McGuinness and Reece James at the left side centre-half position. Wing backs, as I just talked about, Iofa and Myton on the left-hand side. Midfield, Will Volksbrook backing into that holding role. Bannon and Derbyshire in midfield, and Josh Windass partnered Michael Smith up front. That was probably the one area where I like Gregory up there as a partner for Smith, and I prefer Windass up there in a sort of roaming role, but that would have Wednesday line up the 3-5-2. Now Myton obviously is more attacking minded than I offered, with that little bit more quality on ball going forward. So the reason I think a lot of people got mixed up, thought we were playing a back four today, is because when Myton was getting up there, and he was getting up there a lot and causing some problems for them, Reece James was just allowed to come across into that more or less left back position, and Iofa just tucked in on the other side. So there was times when Myton was up there linking with Smith and Windass, and in fact the goal's a great example of him getting inside and supporting that front too. It allowed us to sweep everybody around. We used to call it the shoestring. So we do more or less end up with a back four. But in terms of starting position, it is a 3-5-2. There's one thing that sort of reminds you what division you're in. It's when you see that little stand on the other side of the pitch, you know. When you're used to looking across and seeing Wednesday's South stand, for example, you see that it reminds you we are in third division. We don't need to get out of here. Quick start to the game, both teams went for it. And Wednesday could have had lead after a couple of minutes. Heckway gets up there, he's back in the team, was suspended. Then he had a couple of ropey games by his standard. Ropey on the ball, by the way. Ropey when he's been asked to be Franz Beckenbauer. I've never had a problem with his defending. I think that's still been relatively good, He's took a booking in second half today, professional foul, took one for the team. No problem with that at all. It's what a defensive mindset does when people are thinking that. I think it's only on ball when we're asking him to spray stuff that he's looked a bit wobbly recently. But attacking wise, in terms of what he can bring in air and from set pieces, a real threat. Nearly he could have scored after about 5 minutes. Delivery into the box, got his head on it. Keeper were in absolute no man's land, and it would headed off the line by their lad. I actually think it's a Heckway sort of on side head, sort of in here, in Nick. I think if he gets a bit more forehead on it, that's probably 1-0. 19 minutes. Stanley's best player, Sean McConville, he goes off, he goes down, he's obviously struggling, socks down, it's obviously something to do with his lower leg. Huge player for them. Now, most Wednesday fans probably not too bothered or even noticed who it is that's going off, but he is their Barry Bannon. The stats that he racks up for them are really quite brilliant. I talked about this last season, if I can't remember, it might have been the review from when we played at their place, but his stats were right up there with Bannon in terms of assists and everything else. 17 assists last year, 4 goals. He's key to them. Usually plays out on left wing. He was playing in an inside position actually yesterday. And they got another lad out there, Pritchard, but he was tucked inside there, was struggling from off. And when he went off on 19 minutes, that was a huge blow to them and a real impetus boost for Wednesday. 24 minutes, Wednesday take lead. Alex Martin's second goal in his last 2 games. Potential's there. We've said this before, you can see potential. You can see him going on having a very good career, but not clicked for him yet at Wednesday. Last couple of games just starting to show him flashes. Sometimes I think his feet's too quick for his brain, if you know what I mean. It reminded me that in week Walcott, because I used to say that about him when he was a kid. Great goal. Fizzed cross in from Bannon, absolutely drilled in there, chest down from Smith, and it's a great finish. He catches it on half volley. I think their keeper should be doing better, really. He's not expecting it. I think that's what it is. I don't think he's expecting it. It's a real flash shot, it's a great strike, but that Savin for me, I think he should be getting his tips to that. But it's 1-0 Wednesday, really pleased for the young lad. And it gives Wednesday something to defend. And we do have to do a little bit of defending. These aren't brilliant. They've lost their best ball player. But the are causing 1-2 problems. They're not going to lie down and roll over and take it. They have a little spell. They've got a lad called Pritchard who's getting inside. He's quite a useful player. Stockdale had to make a smart save, a low save. And it's actually then when Heckway takes his booking, he drags Whaley back there, lad who standing centre forward, and they are just having that little bit of a spell just after our goal. As is though, we should probably double lead. Just before break, Bannon in midfield, pulling strings again. Fantastic ball with that left foot. Delbashir, who's made a fantastic run, he's got him behind midfield. He's got a run on defenders. And he's got in and he's lofted. Keeper's come out again. He's all of it shot for me. He's lofted it over with outside at boot, and it just sort of bobbles towards back post and gets hacked away. But 2-0 there, I think they'd have been dead and buried. But as it is, it means it's still an open contest going into the second half. Another little bit of a result for Wednesday, because the lad called Pritchard in first half, who'd actually been causing us 1 or 2 issues, he didn't come back out for the second half. I don't know with that tactical. Stanley changed it about 3 times in this game, moving things around a little bit. It was the first time with McConville. That's unfortunate for them. He's got an injury, but Coleman did change it a few times, trying to get them back into the game, and it did become scrappy. They did make it hard for us. but we saw it out. It's a sort of game that you're on tenterhooks, you know we've got that quality, but you're not going to have it all your own way. We said it all through last season, like when we went to Sincil Bank and got stuff down there. It's easy for teams to get up for it when Sheffield Wednesday come to town, and that's no disrespect to them, but it is. And it was a scrappy game, like I said, a few changes from them, a few tactical changes. But Wednesday kept plugging away, and in that sense, Will Volks were fantastic. I think that's, for me, that's Volks' best game for Wednesday. Really got through at work, including when he scored that cracker at Port Vale, by the way. I thought he really got through at work in there, ratting about, getting a foot in. And in these sorts of away games, I think this is where players like that come to the fore, and I think Darren Moore got it spot on with selection yesterday. You've got to have someone in there who will do them hard yards and do them ugly jobs. And he gets his head in there, he gets his foot in there, he's not afraid. Walks the fine line sometimes with some tackling, but you've got to do that in this division. You've got to do it. Windass has a chance. Heckway gets it, it's a long throw. Heckway gets a little flick on, and he should get it on target, but I think it's an harder chance than people are giving credit for, because as he's coming in to swing it, the defender's actually in front of his body, so he's sort of trying to get around it, and he can't quite get over it in the way that he'd like, because there's somebody here. So it's like a leg swing rather than getting his body over it, and blazed off at bar. Should be on target, but I think it is a bit of an harder chance than folks are making out, to be fair. 2 minutes after that, they have their best chance of the game. Comes from a Wednesday attack, actually. They break down inside, sort of left channel, forget the name of the lad, but he puts a fantastic ball in behind Wednesday defence, absolute defence-splitting pass, just a bit of curl on it, just to take it away. Their lad Whaley gets in, and it's fantastic goalkeeping from Stockdale, because it comes out quick, but he don't go straight to ground. That's key. Comes out, makes him sound big, but he don't go straight down. Waits till their lad's had his touch, and it's a bit of an heavy touch, and then he's in. It's sort of out, down, smothers it, fantastic save. And that is a game saver. It really is. Them, strikers win your games with their goals and whatever, but a goalkeeper that's making saves like that, worth the weight in gold. Absolutely fantastic save from Stockdale. Would have been easy for him to go down too quick and get chipped first time, but he comes out big. Kid has his touch, heavy, because he's got one eye on him coming out, and then fantastic save. Yeah, and that and the Windass chance all in 5 minutes. Windass gets subbed off. And he has got lip on. Gregory goes to touch hands with him and nearly smashes it off. But and I could sort of, no player likes coming off anyway. We had this earlier in the season with George Byers. And people say, well, it's good that they don't want to come off, and I get that. But no need for petulance in my mind. But personality types, innit? Well, I think we forget that players are human beings sometimes. They've all got different personality types, react to different things in different ways, different situations. But I would say one of the mitigating things is it is one of his former clubs. He made his league debut for them, I believe. And he'll have been desperate to get on the score sheet against them. Everybody wants to score against a former club, so partly understandable there. But Gregory came on. Wednesday shuffled ever so slightly with that. He did look more of a 4 towards end at half, a bit stiffer from Wednesday as Accrington were trying to get back in game. Gregory went right up there with Smith. No problems really. It's just that will not bother anybody in club. Great chance for Delhi. Gregory's come on. Lovely hold-up play. We've got a free kick. I think it's McGuinness pings it right up. Great hold-up play from Gregory. Lays it into Delhi's path. Initially does well, and it's a move that you see John Sheridan do at midfield all the time, where you step into pass, but then you don't take it. You step into it, but then drop back out and just let ball roll across you. And did really well to open space up. puts defender out at game, gets his head up, spanks it really. Goalkeeper's right out of position. And he's done the hard bit. That lovely little turn, that lovely little body turn. And I think he can just wrap his foot around that and I don't think he even has to put much on it. I think he can just sort of clip it with a bit of swaz on. Nails it, gets a little bit outside at boot and it drills it wide, and he'll be disappointed he doesn't score there. But with his record of twatting shots right hard into the back of the net, you can almost understand why he did that, and he didn't go for more finessed finish. And that more or less game, like I said, apart from Stockdale rolling about on the floor for 5 minutes, much to their annoyance. 1-0 Wednesday. Last 15 minutes, that's the time when your heart's beating as a Wednesday fan, innit? And so again, another couple of good moments. We get I think Gregory Link's ball goes out wide and it gets drilled into the box, clips the defender, and it's coming out. Volks is bombing in there, and their keeper, who I've not been too impressed with overall, to be honest with you. I think he's been all over his shot, but on this occasion does really well, comes out, makes a really brave save down at Volks' feet. I think one or two people calling for the penalty, but it weren't. It was just a really good, brave bit of goalkeeping. And like I say, it went end to end then, because Wednesday's trying to kill the game, they're trying to get one back. They were a bit of a loose pass by I for it middle there, inside pass. Hamilton breaks through. Again, driven shot, but straight at Stockdale, who slows the game down. Slows the game down. He does that twice, and the second time he does it, their lad cuts in off at left-hand side. It's a shot, another body shot. Takes his body shot. Must have been a right hard shot though, because 2 whole minutes passed from him taking that shot, and but you know what you've got to do to win games, don't you? We hated it when they did it for Wickham, at Hillsborough. I can remember I thought chairs were going to start getting launched. Experience, and if it help gets us up, whatever, I think Wednesday for too many years, 30 years, always had this soft underbelly, always been the gentlemanly behaviour, that Corinthian spirit, oh no, after you, and all this bit. And he brings a bit of that to the team, and well, good, because other teams do it. You've got to do what you can do to get a result, and going to somewhere like Accrington, it's not going to be an easy away day for Wednesday, despite the quality we've got, and you've got to do what you've got to do to get them points in the bag. And that last 10 minutes, it was really, really hectic, and so him going down like that just took the sting out of things a little bit. Man of the match. Not a great football match, but I think there was still a lot of really good displays in there. Bannon, everything good, orchestrated to him. Thought if we were going to get a second goal, it'd be from a pass that he made. Like I said, there was a fantastic one at first half for Dilbashir, who just kept things ticking. We talk about this every week, understands rhythm of a game, knows when to slow it down as well when it's needed. He was really good. Volks, I think that's his best game for the club, including Port Vale game. Really got stuck in. I'm surprised how many headers he wins, actually. I was thinking about this after game. He does win a lot of headers because he's not massive. He was good. Thought heck, we were solid defensively. Yes, he got booked for that pull and whaley, but that's what a defender does, We're not getting Italian fans complaining about Chiellini doing it to Saka in Euros. They'll have all been cheering. Oh yeah, he's took one. Fair enough. Because it's their culture, isn't it? They're used to it. We're a bit, if someone's had to make a foul, it means it's terrible play. But I like him. He wins headers. Both boxers. Thought Smith were quite lively, held it. Tough to it. Didn't think he linked as well with Windass as he links with Gregory. Although I thought Windass were very busy. Not come off for him today. One or two times I thought he made the wrong decision, but in terms of hard work and stretching and giving us that little bit of pace up front, which I think is the one thing we'll lack all round up front, is probably pace. Thought he worked hard, tried to get in behind. A couple of times he nearly did. Game-changing save from Stockdale. That one from Whaley. But I think it'd be McGuinness. I think McGuinness would be my man of the match, you know. Often these smaller clubs have got bigger players, bigger physical players. We found that a lot last season. But McGuinness really stuck to it today. Headers, tackles, wrestling folks, strong on ball, strong in tackle. And he's got a comfort and an ease on the ball, which, with the way Darren Moore wants us playing, God, it'd be great if we could keep hold of him. I very much doubt we can unless we get promoted. But yeah, Mark McGuinness, man at match. Fantastic set of half performance. Obviously a good win for Wednesday with a 1-0 over Accrington. Other interesting results: Exeter edging out Peterborough 3-2. Portsmouth just behind us in table, 1-1 away at Morecambe. That's a good result for us. But the really interesting ones here that's done us a massive favour: Ipswich failing to beat Cheltenham at home, 1-1 there. And Plymouth on the road, 1-1 at Lincoln City. Let's have a quick look at the table. So Plymouth and Ipswich both dropping 2 points here. Wednesday with a win. That takes us up to 37 points. So just a point behind Ipswich now. Plymouth up there, 5 points ahead. You know, Wednesday's got that best goal difference there and all. Really, it's all to play for. It really is. Keep saying it. Plymouth and Ipswich, we've had a couple of ropey results this season. They're going to get a few ropey results. And it's just going to be like that. It's going to be nip and tuck. We've just got to keep plugging away. And a result like this one, away at Accrington Stanley, I think that's a really good result and a clean sheet. Look at last season, tough games like against Lincoln, them sort of fixtures cost us last year. Look at the games that they've just dropped points in recent weeks. It's going to be nip and tuck, and I still do believe that Plymouth will have a wobble at some sort of age. I don't think they've got the biggest squad. They had a really tough running last year after being at top end most of the season. So keep plugging away, and I think it'll go right away.